And then there's this YouTuber guy named Casey Neistat, I believe. He's going to be coming. So it's going to be pretty crazy.
Casey has shown us all the power of storytelling, the power of emotion, and shown us how it takes vision, craft, technique, and lots of hard work to get things done. We're very honored that Casey is joining us today here at B&H. I want to thank him for being a B&H customer for so many years, for allowing us to support him and help in whatever ways we can, but more, thank him for supporting and being a model for all aspiring creators out there. We love Casey's work and his story. Our dream, B&H's dream, is to help all of the Caseys out there find their passions, develop their skills, and achieve success doing what they love.
What's up, peeps? Thanks for joining me. My name's Damon Warren, and this is Day One Adventures. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm up in New York today. Today is an exciting day. Every day is an exciting day. Up in New York, going to, I think it's pronounced Jarvis or Jarvis Center right there. There's a photography conference going on there, so I'm going to be going there, see who's there, learn some stuff. But what's really amazing is, in about 10 years, I've been coming up to New York annually, at least once a year. And I've watched this whole area build up, and I actually watched them when they were building this building or finishing it off. So now this is going to be my first time actually going into it, so it's kind of cool to see what the inside is going to look like after they've actually built it. And it should be some really cool stuff, some technology, photography, video, a little bit of everything going on today. So time for an adventure.
I think, if you came in here, maybe you know a little bit about my background, but my background is, I think I'm like, what do they say, like Gen X ended in 1981, and then millennials started in 1982. And I was born in 1981, so I was like the oldest Gen X or the youngest millennial. So like if millennials are defined by being raised in like the internet era and social media and all of that, I'm like the oldest man with one foot in that swimming pool. And I say that because like 1998 was when Apple came out with iMovie 1.0. And that was when I was like, I was like 16, 17 years old, and my brother Van bought the first iMac, and I was like, oh my goodness. And like that, iMovie 1.0 came with this like generic footage of like a dog getting a bath in a kiddie pool, because it was so hard to import footage. They gave you footage so you could play with their editing software. And I just remember like Van and I, my brother, we didn't have a camera, just playing with that footage over and over and over, and like putting music under it. I remember specifically, you couldn't lock the music in the timeline. You would just drop a song in and it would just start at the beginning, and it's like, that's all we've got for you. And then like when I did get a camera, the hard drives were 10 gigs. It was the biggest hard drive you could get in the iMac. So you get like 7 to 8 minutes of footage. And if you guys want to hear some pain, the DV tapes then, DV tapes are what you recorded to. I had no money then, and DV tapes then were like $10 or $12. So like, I don't really understand how to adjust for inflation, but that's like $1 million. So I only had like 2 DV tapes. So how I would back up is I would back up to VHS. So how I would edit something that was longer than 7 minutes is I would edit till I got to like the error message came up, this is out of hard drive space. Export to my DV tape, export from there to VHS, delete the entire edit file, delete everything, delete all the raw footage, import the leftover raw footage, and then try my best to export, and then export again to VHS tape and have it line up. That was the pain that was trying to do what we do now on our cell phones in 1998. Like, that was the hate. Distribution, anecdotally, when I couldn't upload YouTubes, I would get in my car and drive to my friend's house and hand them a VHS tape and be like, here's a video. Virality was like super hard to achieve back then. But the question was like how I got started. Like, that was how I got started. And what's funny is I saw then that being the path to becoming like a regular filmmaker, like a film festival, a movie theater filmmaker. Because this world that I live in, that a lot of us live in, didn't exist. This wasn't an opportunity. This wasn't an option. So I thought that was the way to get there. And the irony is I did use that as stepping stones and building little viral videos and little short videos and calling them fine art and showing them in museums because there was no other place to put them. Building splash pages before there was YouTube so I could share them online. Attaching like 36 by 24 resolution QuickTime files to an email and sending it because I didn't know how else to share videos. I was able to use those stepping stones ultimately to actually become a formal filmmaker and make movies that were in film festivals and shot on celluloid, like real film. And ultimately like took that to having a show on HBO. And the truth is like that, if that show on HBO, which I remember the year HBO bought that, was the same year that we premiered Daddy Longlegs, which is a movie I made with Josh and Benny Safdie. We premiered that at Cannes Film Festival. We premiered that at Sundance. We won all kinds of awards. We were on stage for winning that. It was the same year. HBO bought my show. Like I felt like I had achieved a tremendous amount of success, more than I could have imagined in the traditional like film world. And I kind of hated it. Like I hated the process. I loved making movies. I loved making that show. But like we gave this show to HBO that Ben and I made on our own, just the two of us. And they like sat on it for 2 years and then they put it out at midnight on Friday nights. Imagine if you could only watch my YouTube videos at midnight on Friday night. And like that was the lack of agency. I felt completely out of control. Like we put our everything into making this content and the method of sharing it was just so misaligned. And that was really like, the question was how I got my start. That was really when I was just kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to get back to being that kid with that iMac making the videos that I like and just figuring out what the best means of getting them to people was. So it was like after that I put my head down and just started focusing just on YouTube. And I know that we have a little video queued up, but that was like the first video I made when I really sat down to focus on YouTube that kind of exploded and showed me the power of YouTube. It's a very iconic New York City video that we should watch right now.
Great.
A real crowd pleaser, that video.
If I may ask, you started your career as professional filmmakers, working in commercial ads and such, and then you moved to digital platform and building your own brand. Whereas sometimes the journey is vice versa, no? People, especially the younger people, starting directly from the digital platform and then evolve to professional filmmakers. Do you have a kind of view on that? Any recommended path?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's weird because of how much the industry has changed. So I always say, like, the greatest asset I have as a filmmaker is the fact that I never went to film school. Had I been taught the correct way, the traditional way to make videos, I wouldn't have been forced to go out with my buddy Oscar and a point-and-shoot camera and try to figure out how to crash into cop cars on my bicycle. If I had known how to make movies the proper way, Van and I would have never gone to Walmart, bought 2 of their cheapest cameras and turned that into a show that was on HBO. It was that lack of understanding of the right way to do things that forced us to find our own path, and I think that was a virtue. And I think what's happened now, and is people have something to look at, which instead of looking to like Kubrick or Spielberg to say that's what I want to be like, now people are looking at creators saying that's the world that I want to be in. So I think aspirationally there's been this seismic shift where, you know, formal filmmakers like me were starting to turn to YouTube, and now you're seeing YouTubers that just have incubated their talent so profoundly that they're able to reach out and go to new places. Bo Burnham with his movies and what he's done he's a tremendous example of that. But I think that it's kind of a long way of saying that like everything now that you'd ever need access to be a great filmmaker is kind of at our fingertips, and I think that's an amazing thing. And my trajectory represents a world where that didn't exist. But now we live in a place where it's accessible to all. Incredible. I think it's amazing. I think like the opportunities that we all have now to do whatever it is, whether you make wedding videos, whether you're a cook that wants to show people how to bake cakes online, or you do whatever the hell it is that I do, the tools that we have access to have made that so much easier. I felt like starting in my career was a battle. It was a battle doing all those exports ultimately to VHS. Like I had this square peg and I was trying to smash it into this round hole that didn't fit. And now I think that like, sure, if all you have is your cell phone, fantastic. But then you have amazing filmmakers. I looked at people like Peter McKinnon or my brother Van, who they put so much energy into their cinematography. They're true cinematic virtuosos. And they're using gear that is very formal with precision lenses. They're using filters and they're color correcting. They're doing all this amazing, very technically heavy aspects to make their movies better. And they're also succeeding in that same space. So I think like that how dynamic the space is an asset for all of us. But I think how accessible the equipment is like we're seeing like, you know, if you wanted to be a writer, all you needed was a pen and paper. If you want to be a painter, all you needed is a canvas and some paint. But to be a filmmaker, you needed all this stuff that was inaccessible. And that has changed. We now have access to all of that stuff, even if for you, it just means a phone. And I think it's a wonderful thing. We saw it. And then I make this silly little video, and you know, millions and millions of people say it. That showed me something about distribution. It was Make It Count that really, I think, really showed and illustrated the opportunity, the financial opportunity, the commercial opportunities in this space.